Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday evening. Time for a live stream. But first, as always, a little music.
We are all the heirs to Scotland, as a nation proudly stand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let a flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. To the world we bid a welcome in 1,000 different ways. We will toast to long lost friendships as we build our better days. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. We are all the heroes of Scotland. We're a nation hand in hand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum.
So, hello there, folks. Yeah, I'd set the clock at the wrong time, so I had to dash about and correct it. Oh, so it's the weekend again, folks, eh? Where do they go these weeks? They just flash by. Flash by. Oh. Our piece is in the local paper today. So I'll be able to distribute it once I get it organized. But the reporters were here. That's for sure, Treble M. Yeah, the reporters are here and they know about my health. So she's busy asking after my health and what's going on and all of that stuff, which is all very kind, of course. But because I told her that I didn't want to see any of that information going into the local paper, uh, the article ends up being a lot shorter than it otherwise would have been. I mean, around here, I'm in a house about an hour, easily an hour. And she did a lot of writing, I might add. But as I say, she was inquiring about my cancer and the treatments and all of this. And I don't really want it to be front and centre of publicity. The publicity's not necessarily for me. It's for the party, which represents our point of view. And that's what's important, not the state of my health. So there's a good deal of it just isn't there. That's fine. But I feel as though had she stuck to the actual subject, the piece would have been bigger. Well, in part, of course, that's my fault. I should have been leading her. But anyway, the piece is in. And you won't see it properly. I can only, at this point, I can only hold it up to the screen. Well, there is that, Woodlander. So it's half of page 9. Hopefully over the weekend I can get this into a JPS, a JPEG. There you go. I don't expect you to be able to read it or anything. Oh, yes, it do, Treble. You want me to read it out? Would you like me to read it out to you? Uh, they're referring to me as a local activist. Uh, and you can see there's, that says, if it comes into focus, that says Gaza, and that says TPP. A Greenock activist who lays a wreath every year in memory of all the civilians killed in the Blitz has also chosen to remember those who have lost their lives in Gaza. John Davidson, who founded the pension, this is the bit I don't like, who founded the Pensioners Party, went to the Greenock Cemetery to memorialise to the memorial which stands in everlasting memory of the civilians of Greenock who died as a result of the air raids in 1940 to 1941. The artist and his family have been coming to the cemetery all their lives to remember relative Euphemia McVeigh, one of the 271 people killed when the Luftwaffe targeted the town on May the 8th and May the 6th and 7th, 1941. But the campaigner, who has now changed his political affiliation, so it makes it sound as though it's a different party, to political affiliation to the People's Party, also wanted to remember all those killed in the Gaza conflict. Well, it's not a conflict. Well, we'll leave that alone. He said, I think it's important to remember all the men, women, and children who have been killed in Gaza since the bombings began last year. They are civilians as well as it is. They are civilians as well, and it is a tragedy. It's not bad, it's not great, but it's not bad. But it puts us in a good light, and that's the important thing. That's what counts. So, once I get organised, I'll send party members out a copy of the piece. I always forget, of course. Well, that's Ray Woodlander. It's anti-Israeli and promotes the party. Both good. And it promotes the party in a positive light. And that's also very important. What she also said, of course, but they're silly us. Indeed, he's agreeing. I said many other things, and I'd said other things in different ways. And that's one of the things that, at this level anyway, you have to bite your tongue and say nothing. I didn't. I didn't put that. I think it's important to remember all the men, women, and children who have been killed in Gaza. Now, I didn't put that. I put that. It's important to remember all the children, all the women, and all the men and the boys. But I always forget about newspapers, even at this level, have editors. And of course, that would go before the editor, who I also know, of course. And he would likely add his little red pen to it. They've all got to have their little say, especially the editors. But all in all, it's a good enough piece. I'm always looking for more, bigger piece. And a lot more photographs than that were taken. So, again, no control over that. I know that from years of experience. All the newspapers are like that. Doesn't matter what you say. Doesn't matter the words you use. The final piece and how it looks and how it's shaped is up to the newspaper. That's it. It's always that way. But importantly, I don't trust them myself, Trevor Lamb. But at this point, I don't have to trust them because they're not doing any personal pieces on me. And even if they were, if they wanted to do a hatchet job, they would have to do another interview. So what you have to remember is I'm not like the big shots. I'm bringing the story to them. They're not coming to me looking for a story. So I bring it to them and say, here's the story. I've got these wraiths that are getting put up in the local graveyard for all the civilians, and my party is laying wreaths as part of our remembrance and respect for all the people who died. So I go to them with a story, and all they can do is put that out to the readership along with suitable photographs. So as long as I am reasonably careful about how I speak to them and the information that I give, then everything's okay. What's the woodlander saying? I just had another hit piece on me and the Woodlander Initiative published by H&H, apparently buying land and camping, growing food and enjoying nature is far right and racist. Oh, Jesus. Oh. Well, this is something that I wanted to bring to your attention, Woodlander. Tight Scotsman, don't forget owning a dog. So I would be interested to know, where did they get far right and racist from? That's what I'd like to know. Yeah, you're right, Julia. I'm struggling today. Perhaps it's just I think it's outrageous myself. You see, a long time ago, I decided, yeah, I'm going to do that, Woodlander. I have to explain this though. Over 20 years ago, well, what I should really say is, ever since I can remember, from school onward, I've been on a stage in front of the public in one form or another. part of being in the group and all the publicity revolve in that. So when I went on my own, I had to conduct all that on my own. Oh God, that lot. Jesus. How you doing, Linda? So what I'm getting at, when I speak to the press, I don't allow them to take charge, and I don't allow them to define anything. Now, as you know, or at least some of you know, I have made public predictions about things which have come to pass. But I never allow them to refer to me as a psychic. I despise that term. And I don't allow them to pin that on to me. I use my own terms and I make them use it by threatening to withdraw the story and not give them any more. So when it comes to the politics, it came up for the first time this week. Yeah, something's all right about this Woodlander. Anyway, and I was asked, so what is I'm not that bad, I'm not dying yet. So what is your party's politics? I said, well, we don't have a political philosophy. What we have is a common sense philosophy, which our party policies are based on. Common sense. They're neither right nor left. And that's why they have a really wide appeal, because of that. So I gave them each a copy of the party's book so they can confirm that for themselves. That's it, Woodlander. That's what I tell them. No ideology, just common sense. And thought, reflective thought, thinking about things for a while. Listening to other people's ideas. And you'll notice in that piece as well, it's not mentioned. Because they know that if they step out of line in that sense, I'll just come down on them like a ton of bricks, which I will. You see, you have to understand newspapers and television, they need us more than we need them. Without us, there can be no newspapers. If they have no stories, there's nothing to print and nothing to sell. Yeah, that's the way I see it. We don't need, it's like woodland, and we don't need them to buy land. We don't need them to raise money. We've got ourselves. It's the same as the party. We don't need them to advertise us. We can advertise ourselves by giving out leaflets at street corners or through letterboxes. Newspapers, however, they need us for stories. Otherwise, they have nothing to sell. And if they have no advertising, they're out of business. So they can only go so far. But I have found in my experience that at local levels, and this will apply to any local level, they are more factual in their writing styles than they are anything else. You would tend not to get things hyperbole. Woodlander. It always comes down to doing it ourselves, and we always win. We always win. Yep, we always do. We have created the best societies, the greatest civilizations, and we will keep on doing that. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. And so when I speak to them, I don't deviate from the story. And so say all of us, says Woodlander. Says Triple M. Hello, Sensum. How are you doing, my friend? Nice to see you. So I've never really had any difficulties. And they always know now, after all these years, that they get a good story from me. And they don't have any work to put into it. So it's easy for them. So I always get the same photographer and I always get the same reporter. because they know in advance that it's going to be something interesting and slightly off the beaten track. Makes me sick, says Linda. They can't leave anything alone. If it's good, not only spoiled sports, but prescriptive. Jeez. Bless you, Woody, says Linda. Well, that's what I've found. I don't allow them to dictate. The photographer knows I'm a photographer, so when he turns up, I direct him in the photographs. He takes instructions from me and is happy to do that. That's a bonus I have because of my own personal history. Not everyone will have that. But press photography is pretty straightforward most of the time. It's point and shoot, not much else. I've never had any problem with radio either, any time I've done radio interviews. It's because I'm not intimidated by any of them. Because I say, they need us. If you remember that, if you're ever dealing with them personally, keep that in your mind. They need you. And I'd say that to you as well, Woodlander. I don't know how this hope and hate people got hold of the initiative, but obviously they have. Oh, good evening, Special K. So what I expected to, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Woodlander, and they won't come near you, they'll do it all from distance and do a lot of speculation and ferret around and see what they can pick up. I expect that's how they work. I know if they, oops, silliness. It manifests itself almost everywhere. Notably in the aesthetic sense. Have we all seen the Victorian public lavatories? Google image it for the chat, John. We've even pissed in elegance. Very good. Beginning to ease off now. It does that, folks. Streaky. It was a mistake on my part, Streaky. I set the clock wrong. That's what it was. Well, so I was right. They don't actually come and speak to you, of course. My advice to you, my friend, should they ever, or any of these people ever come and speak to you, take charge. Just remember, they need you. They need the story. If you tell them how you want it said, make them say it. Especially down where the land is. Sooner or later, that's going to come to the attention of the local press if it isn't already. I like that. I just let the dogs out. I'd clear up later. Very good. We learned that. I like that. These regimes have people like that, though. So I see the town councillor was in court today. It's in the paper there. I don't know what's happened. He's been suspended. So I don't know what will happen if he's found guilty. That will be interesting. I don't expect him to resign voluntarily, of course, because he's not the kind of person who's got any honour. Because he has a terribly bad local reputation as a bully in and out of politics. And partly is very arrogant because he has been a councillor for such a long time. As I explained to you before, the law in the land. That applies to England and Wales, is that if nobody stands against you in an election, then they don't hold an election. You automatically win that seat. And that's what's been happening to him for many, many years. Architecture, yes. That's one of the things about our country. We've got in our towns and cities a lot of beautiful architecture, highly ornamented, of course. Just quite breathless at times when you think on it. What can you say? The soul of our society will be reflected with mud huts in 20 years, says our streaky bacon. Awful. Like 1970s multi-story car parks or town centres, concrete. Yeah, you're right, Woodlander. Get some awful, awful examples here. Jesus, they're awful. Talk about being eyesores. Dreadful things. Absolutely dreadful. It just, the people that make these decisions, they have no eye for beauty, I would argue. They've got no sense of what does and does not work side by side to another piece. Some awful, awful things have happened in this town. And I'm sure it's the same where you all live. And of course, it's done deliberately to knock the heart out of us. Of course it is. It's quite depressing. Yeah, if you get all you need is a dark and gloomy day and it's raining and you see this awful concrete stuff. It breaks my heart. I know it does. I'm sure it breaks yours as well. public lavatories have all been shut down. And there's a certain amount of truth to that, Treble M. Now you take people like Lorraine. Now, I know she's not the only one, but she has MS. And when she needs to she needs to use a toilet, she needs to use a toilet. There's no ifs or buts or I'll hold on till I get home business. She doesn't have that ability anymore. She needs to use a toilet. She needs to use a toilet. Now, like you say, Treble M, the public toilets are closed. She's got a key, special key, and she can, on occasion, ask particular shopkeepers if she can use their toilets. But it isn't right. It's okay if you're able-bodied. But if you're not able-bodied, you may not have the ability to wait and postpone. But who thinks of that? Silly as at my workplace, they have decided a grey, paper-thin carpet with rubber stripes is better than the gorgeous, ornate Victorian floor tiles. It was stunning, intricate patterns, masterfully crafted. Well, why have that? When you could have something bland. Streaky saying, special key. Or I said, you are Canadian, aren't you? Yes, she is. I worked on a site years ago and it was a Canadian designer. The concrete was so thin and the shutters were made up of polystyrene. It was amazing. It was a unique design, says Streaky. I've never seen again. I've worked on many sites. It's the same as design of public buildings. If you look, last time I was in Glasgow, all I saw was boxes. No real design attached to it, just the rectangle box. It's all about cost, you see. A lot of these, not a lot, I would say most, of the buildings that we would praise and enjoy looking at were paid for by rich individuals, or especially uh, organised groups of individuals who had money, and they would want in or on their building all sorts of decorations, ornamentations, and would be willing to pay for it. I think sadly those days have passed us by for the moment. We seem to be in an era where the only consideration is cost. I've had this discussion over the years with many different peoples, and that's what it seems to come to. Cost. And I cannot imagine for one moment that you would study architecture for 4 or 5 years and then go out and produce a box. And that's all you see being put up. It's the same as houses. Simple box construction. Very little to no ornamentation at all. It's the same as the plaster work indoors. The amount of work that would go into those, even in houses, never mind public buildings. That sounds hopeful. Special K. There have been some good innovations the last few years. New codes coming in. Builders trying to figure out how to achieve requirements without it costing a fortune. It was one of the things I used to enjoy when I was able to do it was walk about with my camera and I take architectural photographs. There's so much to photograph. It's one of the things that should have happened when I thought about it. I thought what should have happened really was that as the town was being pulled down, they should have employed a photographer to photograph each area before it was demolished so that there would be a record of it, what had been there before. Silly as I saying, rather like planting a tree. You will be long gone by the time of its maturity. Yep. But the purpose is that it is planted so that it may beautify the area and provide shade for the next generation one day. Well, that's exactly right, of course. That's exactly right. This part of the town where I'm in was built was the first planned town in Scotland. The second was Edinburgh. This was the first one. So what you have here at this part of the town is you have wide pavements with wide roads, and on either side, at the end of the pavement, you have trees. Now that was done long before the heavy traffic appeared. Silliest, rather tight Scotsman, probably another victim of health and safety. Tiles would be deemed to be a slip hazard. I'm sure you all feel the same as me. Yeah, I'm just sick to death of all this health and safety. These jobs are usually occupied by people with no real appreciation for anything with a beauty attached to it. The health and safety has ruined many a good thing. You don't even have to look very far to see it, to see the results of it. But it's true, I think. There are people who live amongst us who should never, ever be put in charge of anything because they neither have the wit nor the common sense nor the sensitivity to use what authority they have. And I think health and safety is one of these areas. Likewise, Trevor, we have a lot of that here. In fact, I used to work beside an artist, and that was his speciality, repairing stained glass windows and making them. He was an old guy when I knew him, so he's likely no longer with us. But these are skills that are fading. And most of the houses out where I am here, although not this one I'm in, but most of the others all have highly ornate ceilings and walls. Oh, I bet that was a joy, Streaky. I worked years ago with the Oxford Castle refurbishment in the town centre. The stonemasons had to blend their work with 1,000-year-old walls. Wow, it was great to see those lads work, I'll bet. Then he adds, typical Streaky fashion, meanwhile, in the Congo, Yeah, architecture is a joy. We have, fortunately, a very beautiful town hall here. Gorgeous. Not that we, the public, are very often in it, of course. It's very expensive to hire, but it is quite beautiful. Stricky's saying it was 20 years ago, and the castle also had an old prison, and it was blended into a shopping cafe area, and it looked really good. At the end, I worked there for 5 months. Yeah, well, a craftsman could do that, can't they? I mean, a real craftsman can do that. If there's something there to work on, a craftsman can work amazing things. Woodland are saying the old buildings were authentic and effort went into making them beautiful. Yeah, sadly no more. Um, Church used to be good at that as well. I think it's rather sad to see what we have here, and I'm sure it exists where you live, apart from Woodlander, of course. Um, Churches that have been converted into furniture shops. Like, it's kind of sad. The insides have been taken out and sell furniture now. To be honest, says Stricky, even the reinforced concrete part of the building was tastefully blended in by using stone from Bath. Well, somebody had their brain in gear, obviously. Anything doing is worth doing well, says Special K. Of course, absolutely. That's what I've always said. I mean, long before I had a YouTube channel, I used to argue that public housing for ordinary folk, should be built for long-term use. The way it used to be. Tell that to the Philistines. And that is still my attitude to public housing. If I had my way, I'd make it compulsory. Oh, you take care, Woodlander. Thanks for being here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope you get a bit of weather. Well, I hope you get a bit of good weather. Ludwig. Can't say I have, Ludwig. Seems to be working on this channel. Yeah, Streaky does complain about that regularly. So it's not just this channel. I've no idea why that happens. Well, I remember you said this before, Streaky, that it happened to you on other channels. It's not just this channel. I don't know. When he dealing with to buy YouTube. Nice this is well, I don't see you, but nice that you're here. Oh, it's interesting times, isn't it, with Mr. Trump at the helm? It'll be interesting to see how that works out. A couple of weeks on Bonnie's channel and censored sometimes. I get stopped posting. I mean, that's really odd, isn't it? I mean, it's odd. Perhaps it's some software device that's employed to create random uncertainty. Could be something like that, I suppose. Shadow censorship. That's a phrase I've not heard before. Well, there's always that possibility, but that Streaky has to be becoming something of the past, considering what's going on in the Middle East, surely. could be wrong, I suppose, but that's my tuppence worth for what it's worth, which is not tuppence, of course. I've been watching some of these uh, reaction videos to the election result. There's a lot of madness in the air at the moment. I honestly don't know, mate, but it's a bollock. If you monitor your comments on another device, you can see which of your chats gets deleted. Linda, bloody hell, now I have to tell you because I asked 42 did ban you. Now I don't know if you got swept up in the mudflood with DJ, but yes, that's what he said. It wasn't a glitch. Oh, Stricky, what can you do? What can you do? What can you say? We'll just have to watch and see how it works out. The one thing about being at the bottom of the pile, as we are, is observation is as much as you can do. I suspect there'll be a lot of disappointed people. Oh, there's Jemima Puddle. Budgie. Budgie left me. He left the channel last Tuesday there. There was a bit of a fracas going on. And as a result, Budgie said he was leaving after 6.5 years. I asked him not to. I wasn't happy about it. I'm not happy about it. But there's nothing I can do. That's as much as I can tell you, Jemima. I don't like it when these things happen. I get quite upset. I know I shouldn't, but I do. We should learn to stick together and get over petty differences. Otherwise, we just end up paddling water. But I've been doing this long enough now to know that there's nothing I can do or say to bring him back. It's in his hands. I hope he does come back. The flat earth, a mud flood stuff is kind of weird. Yeah. Trouble is that some of those photographs could easily be representing something else. Streaky bacon. Thing is, if I banned someone, I would tell them why. Not saying I haven't banned you and me. Think, oh, YouTube is messing me about. Well, could easily be. I've, I think, if my memory serves me correct, I've banned one person. I've had situations where I have left it entirely up to the individual concerned as to whether they come back to the channel or they don't. I did say to that individual that if he came back to the channel, I would expect him to behave in such a manner. And if he could not behave in that way, then there was little point in him returning to the channel. That person decided not to come back to the channel. Now, all the years that this channel has been going, right at the very beginning, I asked the chat who was there at the time to agree on a set of rules. Once we agreed on those rules, I would expect people to behave accordingly. Now that's what happened. set of rules went out. And people have lived by those rules. And there has never really been any trouble on this channel, and I'm very pleased and proud about that. So I get upset if anything does happen, like this business with the budget. Now, Treble M is the longest person, the longest serving person in the chat. Close by is Budgie. So you're correct. If I were going to ban someone from the channel, I would tell them why. Of course, now the person I'm talking about, because there's another side of this. Now that person went away, and I didn't say they were banned. I said if they behaved themselves according to the rules that had been laid down, they were welcome. But as it happens, this individual at the time was watching a channel that I watched. And shortly after this incident, I was watching this channel and they came on. And then set about telling the people on that channel, in that chat, a whole set of lies that I had banned them, and I had banned them for this, that, and the other reason. None of which was true, of course. They didn't know I was sitting, lurking, as we now call it. But I was. I never said anything. There was no point in bringing a whole argument to this other channel. So it's a great weakness in this system that we have. Sad to say, it's the only system we do have. I wish it were a better system, but it's not. So I'm really, really sorry that Budgie has taken the action he has taken. But as I already said a few times now, there's nothing I can do about it. I don't have his email address, or I would have written to him. Because he always added to the chat in his own way. A talented man in many different areas. So he's a loss to this channel. That's how I see it. But I can do nothing. However, if I am asked, as you have asked, I will explain, as I have explained. So that's why you don't see him. He has taken himself out of the channel. Nothing I can do. Okay, folks. On that rather somber note, oh, good evening, William. God's sake, what sense I'm done now? I'm just explaining, William, that said a budgie has removed himself from the channel. I have not barred him. It's nothing to do with me. He made that decision himself on Tuesday. I was hoping he would cool down and be here tonight, but he is not. He might yet show up in the coming weeks. I hope so. He's a big mess. There was an argument, William. Not that I was involved in it, but there was an argument that somehow he got involved in. And it got heated. And from what I can gather, he was called an idiot and he took it badly. An argument over nothing, really, says Streaky. Thing is, when I'm talking, I tend to pay very little attention to the chat. So I'm not really sure what was going on. If you say it wasn't bad, Treble M, I'll go with that. Streaky said the same thing. Yeah, well, that's what I'm hoping for, William. Truly, that's what I'm hoping for. I was inferred to as the idiot by Budgie, but at the end, I said, I don't care, as I have called people worse. Ah, well, here comes Toffee with a slightly fuller explanation. People act like little girls on here. Yeah, they really do at times. Budgie spat his dummy out because he called Streaky an idiot, and then he threw his toys out of the pram when I said something back to him like a woman. Right. So this was a three-way thing. Juvenile and embarrassing. Well, let's hope he cools down and, God's sake, staying away for something that's, as you say, juvenile and embarrassing. Right. This is what I'm saying, Treble. The thing was, it was hard to concentrate on what I was saying and split the stream flow. Right. Well, that's what I'm explaining, is that even if there's nobody here as a guest and I'm speaking to you as I am tonight, like this, I don't pay that close attention to what's being said in the chat. I'm not that clever to be able to do that. So when I'm speaking to you, I focus on what I'm saying. If I'm trying, especially if I'm trying to make a point to you. So I never really picked up on what was being said by whom. But if that is the gist of what was going on, it's just sad that he would go away for this. Let's hope he gets over it. Maybe, I mean, what we don't know is it's very possible that something else was working in his mind that we don't know about. And this little spark just was the last thing he needed. Just boom. Oh, there's Budgie there. Oh, this is all lies. Whoa. Good evening, Budgie. Toffee attacked and humiliated me because I left a comment under one of his DJ videos. Nice to see you here, Budgie. I'm very upset about all of this. Can we not just let it be? Just let it all go. That's what I like to see. Just let it all go. Where is it you spoke? Yeah. I left a comment under one of DJ's videos. Well, I'll say this, Budgie. I now know a little bit more about this DJ situation. And if anything I say has any impact on you, I'd say leave those videos alone if I were you. And I would ask Toffee and Streaky Bacon to just let everything drop. We're all on the same side here. I don't want to lose any of you as a viewer, as a comrade, as a friend. I don't. And when we're typing things like this, it's the worst. It really is, because you don't hear the person's voice, you don't hear the intonation, the volume. There is no hand gesturing, there is no facial expression to go with what's being said. All you have is a cold written word. And that's not great. So I'm asking, pleading, in fact, let it all go, guys. Please let it all go. Well, that's the attitude. That's the attitude. Now, again, well, what I'm saying, Budgie, is I've got quite a bit more information now on this situation with DJ, and I would advise every one of you, to leave that whole situation alone. Don't get involved. Because what's actually happening there will eventually come out in the wash, so to speak. So I'm asking you both, is DJ a flat earther? No, it's nothing to do with that special K. It's a whole different situation altogether. Right, Toffee, Budgie, please stop. Just leave it alone, please. I don't want to lose either of you. And it isn't in my nature to ban anyone. And I'm not going to ban anyone. So please stop it. Well, not really, Streaky. I don't really have plans for the weekend because, and this has got nothing to do with my health, by the way. Uh, with Laura going and Jerry going and Lorraine, and who's not in a good way either, health wise. There's nowhere I can go that isn't a pub or a social club. It does a bit, Streaky. You have attacked Packer, Rory Herbert. Is that why Rory's not here? And Edmund and me, says Budgie. Well, I had noticed that Rory wasn't here. Well, I haven't seen him for ages either. I thought that he had stopped supporting the channel because I said something a little harsh to him. Well, that's what I thought. I thought it was what I had said to him. Don't know about Packer. But people do that. They come and go. Some people come and they stay. Some people come and stay for a while and then they leave. I don't know about Edmund though. I've never had a crossword with Edmund as far as I know. What I said to Rory was, why did he say he was going to join the party and went on saying that for over a year and did not join the party? I said that was unacceptable. He should never have said it in the first place if he did not mean it. Don't know about Edmund. I don't like these petty back and forths. But what I said and my attitude to Rory is exactly my attitude in real life. I don't like people who say they're going to do something and then don't do it for no good reason. And that's what he was doing. And he went on doing it. But I never barred him or anything. He just stopped coming. And I did not fall out with him. There's plenty of people. There's plenty of people who come to this channel and have done for a long, long time and are not part of the party. Never joined the party. That's fine. Of course it is. It's not compulsory. Well, it's 11 o'clock now. I'm going to close off the live stream. Let's raid Rich when Joan signs off. Right, Streaky, thanks. Oh, there's Durst. Thanks, John. Been listening in. Always good to hear you take on things. And the weather's not all that grey anyway. Streaky for going out. It was really, really foggy last night. Yeah, good words, Treble M. Good words. Yeah, winter's coming, that's for sure. Okay, folks. Maybe what I should do, folks, don't know if it'll appeal, of course. Could do an evening and we could make it mainly music, keep away from politics. I've got Durst stuff, which is very good and very different from any music that I've got. That'd be pretty good. Yeah, I must think about that. So anyway, I'll say thank you all for being here, and a special thanks to Budgie for being here. So we'll do that, folks. I think we should do that. I think we should do a night of music, and we'll get some Durst material, which is always good. Okay. And there's the time for Sensor's channel, 8 o'clock. Okay. And enjoy the rest of your weekends, folk. And I'll hopefully see you on Tuesday. Oh, you're a big fan of Donovan, are you? Oh, that's interesting. Anyway, thanks for being here. I shall see you on Tuesday, and maybe we'll just do the music. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. And I'll try and get this article sorted out and send out copies to party members. Okay? You can read it for yourself. So, take care, folks. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye just now.
Silently the snow falls, paints a winter scene, swiftly spreads the dark rim, hides a fading autumn green. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, conjure friendships dear to me. Lightly now the breeze flows, disturbing more than just the leaves. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow. Patiently the love grows, lifts the weary heart. Gently now she holds me, melts two worlds once apart. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, usher dreams of you and me. Softly then the breeze blows, disturbing more than just the trees.
All together now.
But love's much more
So much more
than we can know.
than we can ever possibly know.
We are one small glow
But an important role
in the eternal flow. Melodies of long ago, songs of innocence, harmonies to soothe the soul, past of consequence. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, awakening joys of you and me. Silently the snow falls, bringing winter symphony.
all together now.
But we're much more
So much more
than we can know. We are one small glow
but an important role
in the eternal flow. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow.
So you take care, folks, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Bye just now.